Hey, Bob.
Did you attend the State of the City?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't.
This meeting is being recorded.
How was it?
It was good. It was good. Big crowd. Cozy, because of the smaller room.
Yep. Space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I think it's in line now.
I may have charged. Thanks, Doc.
Councilmember Harris is also going to join us. So Mark, the real-time total population not going to happen.
Well, just the total population, not the full demographic.
Full demographic.
It'll do doesn't it show you up in the upper left corner, the total pop?
Right, but it's still the demographics. It only breaks down by voting age.
Yes, that's what I'm saying is
and so there's,
yeah, okay. I don't know why they don't. If they've got all the data, they can easily do that. I don't know why they don't.
So you're up for some live remapping here and there?
Sure. I mean, I just copied it was alternate 4A to option A became option B, right? So that's what I just copied. So I just want to make sure we're starting the same place. And I'm going to load it and check the numbers and make sure.
Good. Yeah, that's what I had. Alternate 4A to option A, 2.57% total deviation, right?
Yes, I just want to make sure it isn't one that, we're messing with and then left it in he completed
Right.
8 and
Yeah. And so Nick, when we wrap up here, we will adjourn Sine Die.
Signy day.
Sine, I looked it up. I thought it was Sine Die.
Oh, it might be. I've heard it
Going
pronounced
into
a lot of
the
different.
video that I can.
Yeah, okay.
What's the common? What,
I've heard it signy die.
Sine Die?
Yeah, but that's, I think that's not correct. That's probably just the phonetic looking at NADA.
Okay.
It is sine die. I used to work for the Minnesota legislature. So sine die is correct.
All right, Deborah, you need to record a YouTube video and post it then.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, TikTok is now the new YouTube.
Okay. And
Tutorials.
in the minutes, we can kind of just proactively pre-approve.
I am here. My apologies. I'm coming in person at transportation issues. So feel free to move along with the meeting as if I am there, and then we can clean it up in a few minutes when I actually am.
I believe we need a quorum in the room to officially start. Is that correct?
We need a quorum in the room, period, but you can start without a quorum unless you can't take any action.
Right.
So you can't vote on the minutes, you can't officially approve any map until you get 3 people there.
But we can start the meeting and start with public comment, et cetera. Okay. I believe we are recording. So I will go ahead and call the meeting to order. Councilmember Nguyen and Councilmember Nusma, myself, we are present. Welcome everybody to what we hope is the final meeting of the Redistricting Committee. I hope we can end this evening with a unanimous recommendation of a map to propose to the City Council for full ratification. So since we do not yet have a quorum in the room, I'm going to skip approval of the minutes, and we will go straight to public comment. There is nobody that has signed up in person, and there is nobody that has signed up online. We do have a number of people participating virtually. So I will ask anyone who is online, if you would like to make public comment, please raise your hand, as I assume that is Ms. Tina Payton has done. Is there anybody else who would like to make public comment? Please raise your hand. Okay, let's go ahead with Ms. Payton.
Hi, good evening. So I was wondering if you pursue this map this evening, will the people affected that will be in a new ward, will they be notified, or how do you intend on doing this?
That's a good question. How did it happen last time?
Well, I don't remember, but I do think that before each election, we all receive a postcard indicating where, what ward you're in and what precinct you're in and where you're supposed to vote.
Yeah.
That's once we do this, we need to send it to the county because they're
the ones
do the actual precincts.
Right.
Right.
So let's just also clarify that the new map takes effect at the next election, right? We will remain represented by our current council members in our current wards until April 2025. Mm-hmm. And in that election, you know, or maybe there's, well, there won't be a primary, it'll be ranked choice. So when we vote in the April 25 election, we will be voting in the new wards.
Right.
But until that new council is sworn in May of 2025, we will continue to be represented by our current council members in our current wards.
Yes.
So
So
nothing's gonna happen, but so nobody will know for sure, meaning that the city's not gonna be proactive in allowing anybody to know this before.
I spoke with our communications person earlier today, and we're planning to put an announcement in the city's newsletter after this meeting, just highlighting where we're at in this process. And then after council ratifies the new map, there will be a press release. We have local press in the room and online. So I don't think anyone will be surprised when the next election rolls around.
I was just going to suggest, Councilman Wiesman, I know Councilmember Harris is also here. You have a unique opportunity that most municipalities don't. Being a Chicago resident, once that map was adopted, there was no public education.
Oh.
And as someone who was drawn into a new ward, I knew that I had a new potential elected representative. But there were a lot of people who still were trying to vote for the former council members that no longer represented our ward. So you have an opportunity for some public engagement.
Right. So we could do, you know, postcard mailers to those affected residents.
Do postcard mailers, you could make it part of your ward meetings.
Right.
Yeah.
However that's up to you, but I'm just saying it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Councilmember Harris is here too.
Okay. Yes, I do think it's important that we do outreach, and I think it'll be very important as it gets closer to the election for the affected communities and areas, that they understand who their person would be, because they're going to be confused. So I think we have to really start publicizing it, as Ms. Payton says, as soon as it is ratified by, if it's ratified, I don't want to make any assumptions, by council, that we hit the pavement and make sure each council member in our ward meetings, by postcard, by email, continually push that. As he said, I just would hate for somebody to think they're going to vote for somebody else and they didn't pay attention in that election cycle, thinking, oh, I'm voting here, but I actually am no longer doing that. So it's incumbent on us to make sure we get the word out that this passes.
Yeah, I think we should send out the entire map as many times as possible to let people know, so that everybody knows that. So it isn't just the people in the affected areas, but the whole city knows. I need to check the map. Yeah.
Can you do like a newsletter when you make announcements, perhaps before it goes to city council?
Yeah, that's the plan. It'll be in the newsletter before it goes to city council. After city council, there will be a news release, and then we have a good year and a half to make sure the news is spread wide and far.
All right, that's the only thing I wanted to say right now, but it's very difficult to hear Attorney Cummings speaking.
All right, we'll ask folks in the room to speak up. Councilmember Reed has his hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to note that, you know, it was earlier in the conversation, so it's kind of moot point now, but Councilmember Nguyen is exactly correct about the county clerk's office mailing out notices about the districts. I'll also note that when it comes election time, there will be an interested group of folks naturally wanting to inform people about which ward they are in, and that is all of the various candidates running for the various offices. So I certainly agree with the suggestions here, but I am very confident that there will be a robust information apparatus to let folks know what ward they're in and who their potential candidates are that they can vote for.
I just think it's incumbent, and we hear it time and time again, transparency. We know this is going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult for us to navigate anybody who's rerunning to understand who we need to now be reaching out to, whose door we should knock on, coming from somebody who just went through that process. So it's incumbent on us to be very transparent and to possibly, again, it should go to everyone, but most definitely if we could create a one-off to the changes, you know, to the small areas, right? The one-off postcard to say, just so you know, because in all actuality, after just being in an election, there were people at the wrong precinct.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And they had the car and they didn't know where to go. Mm-hmm. So I want us to be as clear and transparent and as helpful.
Yeah, and perhaps the city clerk's office has a role to play here too.
Yeah, we got Carl with the hand.
Oh, Carl.
I don't know how this.
All right, let's.
Can I just quickly just say, I know that the Secretary of State is going to be having a, what's called like a super senior event at Levy Center coming up for you know, driver's license renewal and all that. Mm-hmm. And that's how voter registration is renewed now in the state of Illinois. When you know,
when you get your
driver's license. So that would be a great event to let a constituency in the city know.
Yeah. Maybe we could print out some poster size maps and put them in the community centers. Yeah. So plenty of time between now and then to coordinate with our communications department.
And a good while ago, we each individual council member got a very large map of their ward from the information department.
Yeah. All right. Is there anybody else online who would like to make a public comment? Please raise your hand. And I can't see everybody. Let me scroll through. I don't see any hands raised. So
I am about 2 minutes out. So if we want to start maybe discussion on the map.
Yeah, so the next item on our agenda after public comment is items for consideration, which begins with a review of the comments received online. And so I thought I would do tonight the same as we did last month, and I'll just read through the relevant comments and we can add commentary as needed. A number of these comments that were made the evening of our meeting last month and did not make it to the printout that were referenced at that time, but those comments were made on the older map. So I think maybe I'll skip those comments. They'll be part of our packet, part of the minutes of this meeting. And I will go straight to just a handful of new comments that were made on the option B map. And so I think we can all see the map online. And Mark, I'm going to give you a block reference ID.
I already, just tell me which comment you're doing. I've already set it up, the copy.
809-401-2010. It's the April 28th Elizabeth Hicks comment. So Ms. Hicks, who lives in Ward 3, is at 1414 Hinman, is noticing that in the option B, she's in Ward 4. She'd be happy being in either Ward 3 or which is her current ward, or Ward 1, where she spends most of her time. She's not super familiar with the 4th ward. Anybody, any committee members want to weigh in on that?
I think it's the 3rd ward needed to shift a big block of people over, and the 4th ward alderman has a robust board meeting schedule, so she could start attending those.
Yeah, and the reason that the Panhandle is now in the 4th ward is because the Plaza, a large number of Sherman Plaza residents wanted to stay in the 1st ward, in order to get the numbers balanced, we ended up with where we are now. So I'm going to move on with that next comment, which is from Frank Sultan. Can we consider Green Bay to be the border between 6 and 7? He's lived in the 6th ward for 25 years. Feels that the needs and similarities are different on others on different sides of Green Bay. So
what block did he?
It's not referencing a block area. It's
I know.
Area.
Oh,
and so
he said use Green Bay as
Green Bay in the border.
Yeah, okay.
And what we had decided early in this process was to take an incremental approach,
right, rather
than radically restructuring the map to minimize the number of impacted residents.
Yeah. We can't.
We can't accommodate that.
Right.
Mr. Zoltan's concern and stick with our guiding principles here.
We really have to. I mean, the 6th ward has become much too big.
Yeah. Jim Grimes congratulates the committee on our efforts and says the proposed map seems to effectively deal with the inequities of the existing map. Next comment is anonymous regarding Robert Crown, and this is Mark, the May 8th one. I don't understand why the 9th ward is losing Robert Crown. It's an asset to our ward, and it makes the most sense to be in the 9th ward.
I don't think it was.
So, point of clarification, Robert Crown is currently in the 4th ward. The new map proposes for it to be in the 2nd ward.
Mm-hmm.
The reason behind that is an acknowledgement that most of the residents who border Robert Crown are not in the 4th ward. And because there are issues with Robert Crown and nearby neighbors, we felt it would be appropriate to put Robert Crown in either the 2nd or 9th ward.
Right.
And the numbers worked out that it made sense to put it in the 9th ward.
In what?
I'm sorry, the 2nd ward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
2nd ward. Thank you. Okay, we have a couple of comments from the DeYoungs, Peter and Mary in Ward 4. And if you could mark zoom to Sherman and Maine. And this is the area where we have drawn the new border through the alley.
Mm-hmm.
They live at 833 Maine, which would put them just over the border into the 9th ward. And they're concerned about not being in the 4th ward because they are very impacted by the Main Street environment and the new Vogue project, for example. Peter says, I need to be in Ward 4 to have my voice heard and concerns taken into account regarding development policies and the activities on Main Street. The residents of this block of Sherman and Washington share the alley with the property and businesses on Main Street. We need to have a voice in the 4th ward. Mary essentially echoes that comment. They've been directly impacted by economic activities in the 4th ward, including the Vogue project. They have some issues with parking, so they are requesting to stay in the 4th ward. I had run into them at a ward meeting and made sure this concern was on our agenda. So we'll be taking a closer look at this in a few minutes. Next, sure.
I thought we weren't doing alleys though. Because I had an alley I was trying to, so I'm just trying to understand.
We have done alleys in a few places.
Okay.
Every alley is not available to us to draw a line on. Okay. It depends on how the Census Bureau has defined the blocks. In some cases, they use alleys, but only in some cases. Okay. So we have attempted to draw borders where it made some kind of common sense.
And I think we had a preference
toward alleys, did we not, is not to split blocks down the middle of the street?
I think we tried that, but I think we still split some.
Yeah,
blocks down.
yeah,
I mean,
We thought about that.
no matter
like,
what, you have to draw the line somewhere.
Right. And if you feel more a closer relationship to your neighbors across the street or behind you, across the alley, it depends on the street, depends on the alley. Okay, so next one, Mark, is the first ward comment on May 22nd, the block ending in 3023. It's good. The comment here is that this neighborhood, the neighborhood in this area should all be in the same ward.
Where is that?
I'm circling it.
Emerson, yeah, the Perlman apartment should remain in the first ward. There is currently room to add just over 100 people to the first ward. Please keep us in the first ward. In this gets to the portion of the map that I played around with to try and just clean it up a little bit. And bottom line, was unable to do so without radically restructuring everything.
Right.
And Councilmember, when I recall, you had the same. Independently, you arrived at the same
thing. Right.
The
numbers are just they disrupt everything.
Yeah.
If you switch them.
Yeah. So this was a way of making an incremental change, but because there's a significant number of people in that building, we could, make up some of the numbers by moving only one block. Next comment here is the second ward comment, block ending in 1019. Everything east of this block should not be in the second ward. These neighborhoods are very different than the rest of the second ward and are more similar to a downtown ward, 1 or 4. So this is that.
What is that?
The block that contains Smith Park off of Ashland. So that block is, we haven't changed that block, have we?
I think he said though, everything east of it should be something, I don't know what the quote was.
Yeah, everything east of that block should not be in the second ward. East, so.
I mean, it's that whole arm.
Yeah,
it's that whole arm. I have to acknowledge that does kind of bug me.
Right.
That appendix to the second ward. I mean, it's not as clean as it, as it could be.
But it does keep our goal.
But it does
having the downtown represented by 3 different council members.
Right.
Which is, I think we could all agree is better.
Yeah.
And have it be, there are more voices then on the council that represent the downtown.
And if we were going to change that, it would contravene our objective of minimal impact.
Right.
So the proposed map is somewhat cleaner than the current map, but not as rectilinear as it could be. But
my version of the map did shift that mostly to the 5th ward, I believe, partially to maybe the 4th ward and 1st ward, but primarily the 5th ward. That appendage does also.
So the red, tell me what the red is again.
Red is new, black is old or current. So when you see red, that's where something changed.
No pun intended.
So really currently that is all the second ward. So we only made a minor change.
Yeah, we haven't changed. Yeah.
And I'm sure that's where a lot of the population is because the 2's got all the industrial. So you needed big population blocks.
Off of Dempster, we have our landscaping. Off of Main, we have Sam's Club.
Yeah.
You've got a 400 person and a 300 person block.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so the next comment was just an observation in this map. We just made the 9th ward go from the smallest population to the largest population.
But not by much.
But not by much. And that was kind of semi-intentional. For one thing, we were aiming to get everybody as close to par as possible, and they are for the most part in this map. Somebody's going to have to be smallest and somebody's going to have to be biggest.
Right.
And we did at one point have a choice between putting some people in the 9th or the 8th, and opted to put a few more in the 9th to account for future population growth in the 8th.
I mean, it's all within 100 people.
Yeah.
So it's not that big. It's not that much bigger than any other ward. It's 100 person versus 7.
Yeah. So the next comment, just a general comment, the 3 wards, which are supposed to be wards with a non-white majority, have seen a decrease in non-white population. When these wards were drawn, the non-white population was closer to 66%. That population is lower now. This is concerning. We have lost thousands of non-white families in this city over the last 30 years.
Can you read that again? I'm sorry.
I'm not sure what the.
So this is kind of an observation. Our 3 wards that are majority non-white have seen a decrease in the non-white population. In the old map, the non-white population was higher, was closer to 66%. And it is a little bit lower than that in wards 2, 5, and 8 now. This is concerning. We have lost thousands of non-white families in the city over the last 30 years. That's a true statement. And this comment does get into one of the points I wanted to make sure we discuss. In fact, it's a very good segue because this is the last comment on the online comments, which moves us to item 4B, discussion of the proposed map. And I wanted to start by having a conversation about equity. And there were some concerns raised in the meeting last time during public comment that we didn't specifically address. And so I thought it might be useful to kind of back up to the beginning of this process and remind everyone of our guiding principles going into this. Not only did we want to have a minimal impact map, we wanted to get our numbers as close to even as possible. We wanted to continue to have downtown Evanston represented by at least 2 council members, if not 3. And we said from the beginning, we wanted to continue to have 3 wards with a majority non-white population. And this was, as a result of some of the Voting Rights Act, 14th Amendment. We want to make sure that the non-white populations in Evanston have enough of a voice. And by pursuing this approach, we in meeting all of our guidelines to the extent possible and striking a balance, we've ended up with this map that's not very different, and we continue to have the same 3 wards as majority non-white. An alternative, hypothetical alternative, if we were going to abandon our keep it simple philosophy to radically restructure and essentially kind of do a colorblind map, it might look really clean. The lines might look really clean on the map, but we would impact a whole bunch of people. And it's quite possible we would dilute a non-white population so that the argument can legally be made that they would not have adequate representation. I'll ask Council Cummings to correct me if I'm wrong or weigh in with any further wisdom or insight.
You are not incorrect. I have no further wisdom.
Okay. And and part of this discussion was also an acknowledgement that of the equity issues that our community has been struggling with for years, and we're still in the middle of that struggle, and that struggle will continue. Those issues take council time and energy to deal with. And the more time and energy we spend looking at maps and drawing lines is time not spent on affordable housing. It's time not spent on looking for additional revenue sources for reparations. It's time not spent on climate action or economic development. And so the equity impact of what we're doing here is, I think we're well aware of that. And speaking for myself, I'll allow the committee members to weigh in for themselves, but I feel that we are on the right path here.
Can I ask a question based upon that comment? I'm sorry, based
No,
on the comment that was submitted online about the dilution of non-white voters in specific wards.
Mm-hmm.
What ward specifically, and do we have evidence of that dilution down to the specific group?
We do. Yeah, Mark, maybe you could zoom out.
I probably can if I knew how. Let's see. Okay. That is going to start getting smaller if I do that.
What is your question? Your question is?
The claim is that the proposed new map dilutes non-white.
The claim is that not that it dilutes,
right,
but the observation that there are fewer non-white residents in those wards. So the population has been diluted. But so there are fewer by percentage,
by percentage.
Yeah.
And so, and proportionality, and I understand that. I don't know what wards those might be. And,
8th ward
and
2, 5, and 8.
If, for example, an additional disproportionate impact. For example, the 8th ward lost a certain number of non-white voters, but the 4th ward gained.
Well, we gained white voters. So the gap between the number of non-white voters and white voters has shrunk, or at least between white and black voters.
I would say your white voters have gone down from 3057 to 2985.
Mm-hmm.
Now there may be self going on over here, but if you're just looking at white alone, it went down.
Well, from a legal standpoint, what we're concerned about, if one ward is majority black, for example, and it is no longer majority black, that's why I'm investigating this claim that we lost this proportional. That's fine.
I don't think that that's what the commenter was. I think their comment was that we've lost thousands of
people moved out of the city.
Yeah. But I don't think that they're saying that with this new map that we're diluting it.
Okay.
Right. It wasn't a comment about the map.
It was about a comment about the out-migration.
Got it.
Right. And one could read this comment as suggesting that we draw a tighter boundary and have a higher percentage of minority voters, non-white voters in one ward.
While hypothetically, I believe we had 2 or 5, 8, 2, 5, and 8.
Yeah.
For the majority wards previously, while legally, as long as those 3 wards stay that way, like their way to describe it,
yeah,
it could be fine. But would not advise that you sort of herd a specific group of people into those 3 wards.
Right.
Exactly.
Because then you are potentially diluting influence into a specific, you just group all people. Yeah, you're packing.
Right.
So while those 3 wards cannot lose their majority minority status, I would not advise that, you know, putting everyone in those 3 wards.
Right, no.
Well, the two big changes since the last time we redistricted is the out-migration of Black residents and the growing numbers of Hispanic residents.
It's a lot of Asian population in the city.
Yes, and that too. But I think that the Hispanic population has really from since 25 years ago, it's really increased a great deal.
Mark, if you could allow me to share my screen, I have the data.
That's what I was about to get.
I have it right here.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think I need to do anything.
I think you need to unshare maybe.
No, you can boot it.
You should be able to just take.
I tried and it said I couldn't until the other participant is sharing. Okay, there we go. Okay, these are the demographics of the current map. Oopsie, sorry.
You can close the left side, it'll make the rest of it bigger, I think.
Yeah. Are we missing a column?
Close that. Okay.
Yeah, we're missing a column.
You can close the thing on the right with the
I've done that in my screen. It's not showing up there.
Oh yeah, you can do it.
There we go. Okay. So this is the current map, and you can see our 20.4% total deviation. The current map with our current population. And so by 20.
Wait, this is what's on the ground now.
Current boundaries with 2020 data. And we see that the total non-white population, third column from the right, wards 2, 5, and 8 are 58, 67, and 65. 58, 67, and 65, which is, hold on, I guess I can mouse you to that.
Total non-white
population, 58.3%.
Oh, okay, there you go.
I'm not seeing you. Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go.
I was
67.7 and Ward 8 is 65.4.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the current map. The new proposed map. Before it was 58 point whatever, now it's still 58. And Ward 5 was 67 something, and that it's just under 67. And Ward 8 was 65 point something percent, and it's still 65.6%. So we haven't changed much,
which was our intent.
Right. Now, what we haven't looked at is what the demographics were like in 2000.
Right. I don't think we need to.
Right. We're not going to go through that exercise. So I'm going to stop sharing. And if nobody else has anything to say on the equity considerations, let's look at a couple of areas of concern on the proposed map. So Mark, if you could.
I think there's a baby matter that for a very long time.
Was that still from, was that from before or was that new? Ms. Payton, do you have a comment or a suggestion?
Yes, yes, I have a couple of things. I wanted to know, you were talking about equity, and you made the change for Ward 5 over there at Emerson and Maple and Sherman, you know, that area to Sherman. So if that takes, that encompasses the link, the new addition.
Yes, the
this-
link.
The link.
Oh, the link. I thought she said the lake.
I thought so.
No, the link, LINK building,
Right.
the building, the link.
Yeah.
That's where the 7-Eleven.
Yeah, or
Yeah, the building just, I haven't been given plans to put it in the GIS, so it's here.
So this building is the link here. And then what else does it takes the 1900 Sherman building?
Community center.
And then what else there? Now, does that, I asked this question last time, you weren't clear. Does it take the building, the Northwestern Student Graduate Housing Building on Maple? Does that encompass that in the 5th Ward?
That's in the second, it stays in the second.
Did you hear that?
Did you?
It stays in the second?
Stays in the
Yes.
second.
Mhm.
That's
So,
Marcus, the one that.
so my comment about that you're talking about equity, but I don't know how many Black people are in the link, but I don't think it's too many. So I'm just saying you're talking about adding or subtracting people based on race or whatever. That I'm just saying most of the luxury building, since we want to talk about affordable housing, and there's most of the luxury building, and Councilmember Reed will probably disagree with me or flag me again, as we did at another meeting, but I don't see very many Black people in the luxury apartment buildings, just saying that. And my also comment is, how many buildings have been added since the 2020 census? Do you know the answer to that in the population?
No, we don't, because the census happens only once every 10 years. And so we won't know that population until 2030. We are aware of buildings that have been built, and
very few though, because of, I mean, really very few.
Yeah. And so
and big giant buildings since 2020.
But as we've pointed out on numerous occasions at this committee meeting, we are obligated to use the 2020 census data, as imperfect as it may be. That is what we are legally constrained to use. And we are well aware of new buildings that have been built or are in the works to be built, and are certainly imaginative enough to contemplate additional buildings being built between now and 2030. One of the reasons we have tried to get as close to zero deviation as possible is to allow population growth in whatever ward. And if we get as close to zero as possible, we can accommodate and absorb more growth without perhaps having to redistrict after the 2030 census. So we're, as much as possible, attempting to future-proof this map, at least for the next 10 years. So I would like to.
All right, just one. Can I just ask just
one quick question? I'd like to continue the committee's work here.
All right, I just wanted to know if you booted me out of your ward.
I think we might be looking at. I did not intentionally move anyone anywhere.
I'm just asking you. That's a yes or no, Alderman. That's not a maybe.
I know I've met you, but I'm not sure where you live. So
no, I'm just asking a question. thoroughly went over this map, and you were a very much creator. And I'm asking you a real simple question.
Okay.
Have you eliminated me from your ward? I'm just asking
Tina,
you that.
I believe you're in the second ward. Is that not correct?
I'm not talking about that. You know, Alderman, that I have a property on Sherman and Main in your ward, Nusma, and I'm asking you, when you redrew the map right now, have you eliminated me from your ward? That would be a yes or no.
I have to look, I'm not sure, but I think that is probably coming up on our agenda is a closer look at that area. So if you can hold on to that question, I think we will be hopefully addressing it. All right, so I would like to move on, and following the agenda, there had been some discussion with Councilmember Harris about the borders between the 5th Ward and the 2nd Ward. And we are,
I didn't hear back from Councilmember Burns.
and you were going to talk to Councilmember Burns.
what area?
You have a specific block section or?
Which was,
Very
It
part of
was
that whole Smith Park.
right, yeah, right up there.
okay.
But then it got weird with the downtown.
Yeah, so here in this case, we have drawn the red line, the new line through an alley.
And what's the concern?
Right, and so I think the question was, this block here, the west side of Asbury,
South of Emerson.
between Emerson and Lyons.
Okay.
Should that be in 5th Ward?
Right.
Or should we move this line here?
Ah.
Or should we leave that line there?
Oh, I think that line makes sense. Well, I think it makes sense where it is, where the red line is now. Which that's moving that to the 5th Ward, correct?
No.
Or no, that's moving to the 2nd Ward.
Second.
Okay, so you're taking the
No,
fire.
it's going to the 5th.
Now, this block used to be in the
Yeah,
2nd
in the
Ward, now
second.
it's in the 5th Ward.
Right.
Okay,
Yes. So it's.
So.
Those 32 people.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
where the fire station is.
Right, and south of that.
Yeah, so the fire station.
I didn't know the fire station was in the 2nd Ward.
I
I grew up right across the street from it. Yeah.
And that was one of my thoughts, that the 5th Ward should have a fire station, because I have one off of Washington, and then I have that one, but.
Trust me, as someone who grew up across the street from it, we have a fire station. Heard it every night when
Right. So Councilmember Harris, is where the red line is now, does that answer your concern, or would you prefer to have it?
I was the one that initiated that discussion, doesn't it? And Councilmember Burns didn't get back to me, so I'm willing to leave things.
Okay, all right. Okay, so it moves into the 5th Ward then. That from the
block.
Yeah,
that half
right.
block,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the alley.
Yeah.
That's the alley.
Yeah, that's important over there in that Smith Park area, that they understand. So that would be Ashland and.
No, isn't it Wesley?
That's Wesley.
That would be Wesley.
Wesley.
Yeah.
So both sides.
Wesley.
Both sides of Wesley rather than both sides of Asbury.
Right.
Are in the same ward. Okay. So if that had been flagged as an area of discussion, it sounds like Councilmember Harris is comfortable with how we are now.
It's so confused. Yes. So I would be giving the 5th Ward.
2nd Ward.
No, you would be giving that from the 2nd Ward.
Right.
To the 5th Ward would go the fire station and all of the property south to.
It's 32 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, south to, what is it?
Lions.
Lions.
And there's that beautiful glass house that's like right at that corner there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If that makes the numbers for that area accurate, that's fine. And again, I like the alley because especially at Smith Park, that area, they play together but go to different schools, they don't see each other. Even though District 65 creates their own boundaries.
Right.
Is there a possibility to have those discussions with 65, especially the new?
They just did it, and what was her name? She was at the meeting last night.
Rita Scott.
Rita Scott is who's leading up that process, and I think they just finished.
I don't remember her saying that last night, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we're cool here.
We're good.
I'd now like to look at the Ward 4 and Ward 9 border down on Main Street, like Main and Sherman. And this is in response to the public comment from Peter and Mary DeYoung
about 833,
who live in 833. And we have drawn on this map, the red line is through an alley. And their suggestion, their request is for that half block, the block north of Washington, between Sherman and Custer, where you see the blue 881. Their request is for that half block to stay in the 4th Ward.
I see their point because that's one where they are very much impacted by what's happening on Main Street, the south side of Main Street. I mean, if we shifted that, how much does that change the balance?
So it's 152 total.
Wait, isn't it just the 81?
Well, I thought you were discussing that whole section, but yes, the blue number is the number for the blocks.
Yeah,
so whatever.
If we move just that block, it'll be 81.
Right.
So let's, Mark, maybe we go into Dave's and
because all
around.
Right, all of those people on Sherman participated a great deal in the discussion about the Vogue property.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can discuss it.
Pardon?
The restaurants on Main Street use that
Custard
House or an Oasis now, so that will all be one.
That's all 4th.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. It's still
right.
Yeah. So if we moved all of that, that would skew our numbers.
Okay.
That's what I just did there because it's because it's on precincts and he doesn't do that. That number you're saying is not right.
Hold on. Okay. All right. So this is our starting. Let's just check the statistics and make sure we're.
So it would reduce the 9th Ward by 81
and increase the 4th Ward by 81.
Or is it 87? It's 81, right?
Okay, so
there, I think
that's what they're suggesting. So let's go. Now the 4th Ward, in this case, would be 154 over par. The 9th Ward would be 36 over par.
I mean, it does widen it slightly, from the least to the most, but what's our
total deviation? Statistics. Takes us from 2.57 up to 3.00. Let's go back to the map. And what if that
I mean, here,
here we go.
The numbers a little easier.
Yeah. Right. I think I could go either way, but I understand their point because they're backing up on that alley, shares the alley with Main Street, which is all, almost, well, it's not entirely commercial anymore, but it's partly residential, partly commercial.
If we might keep the numbers a little bit closer to even if we moved this block into the 9th ward.
Right,
And this block kept that block in the 4th ward.
okay, yeah, and that's Park School. Isn't that?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Is that where, yeah, there we go.
so it's west of
Sherman.
Sherman, yeah.
All right.
100 over and 4 is 90 over now.
Well, excuse me,
Hold on, let's go to the statistics here.
Actually, that makes.
And now it's 2 point, that's even closer.
Okay.
That's even closer to 0 than we started with.
I think that makes sense, and it responds to the community members about, you know, how they're impacted by the businesses in the 4th.
Yeah, for those.
well, excuse me, I'm a community member and you didn't listen to anything I just said. And I participated very heavily on everything that happened at Vogue Fabric and everything else. But so you're talking about inequity. I think you just performed an inequity right now based on your decision on one person's comment, but I've been making comments the whole time and you still threw me under the bus as well. So
we haven't decided anything yet, because I also want to acknowledge that this would move Park School out of the 4th ward.
Where it has been for a long time.
Park has a very close relationship with Nichols too.
Oh, that's true.
And Nichols stays in the 4th.
Washington is still in the 4th, isn't it?
Because Nichols has a program where
it's
where we go
a buddy program.
Yeah.
Park and work with students.
Yeah,
but I don't.
Crown stays in the.
Yeah.
Crown moves, but does Washington move?
Well, I think the question is for that, we're not the school district.
Yeah.
So folks, the board boundaries don't create a force field for people to walk across.
Right.
So I think if that's the concern, I don't know if we need to put too much weight on that.
That's true. Yeah, but I mean, could we see the
in Park School,
the numbers?
Or just go back to that one where I mean, this is a little hard to see. Yeah. I mean, this helps. So it would be swapping those two.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
You're fine with making the change?
Fine with making the change.
Yeah, I'm fine with making the change. I mean,
I'm good either way, really.
Yeah. I would be fine either way also. I mean, it's something that we could do.
Well, I guess I think just leaving it as we had it might be the easiest way to not over respond to.
Because then it keeps Main Street, that section of Main Street, both sides in the 4th ward, and that's all part of the main dumpster mile.
That's just like the park you were talking about. The neighborhood's in one ward, but the park is in another ward.
Yeah,
there's still going to be
Nothing's separate.
Yeah, and nothing's going to be perfect here.
Right. No. So I think we leave it as it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least 2
Yeah.
out of the 3. So I think we consider that. And
right. And we're staying the same.
And we'll leave it how it is.
Yeah.
Okay. With the commitment from at least the current 4th ward council member that I will consider them to be represented.
Right. Auxiliary members.
Yeah. Honorary.
Right. Honorary rather than heaven forbid somewhere.
So we've
just decided to leave it the same.
We've contemplated it, but we decided not to make it. Okay.
Okay.
So those are the 2 areas that I had flagged to look at. We looked at a few more based on public comments. Is there anything else?
I think we're good.
And so let's, yeah, so let's just confirm, let's zoom out and have one last look at it. And confirm what we're looking at here is the 2.57%.
Yeah.
Total deviation. The largest ward is the 9th ward with 8796, and the smallest ward is the 1st ward with 8573. And again, that was kind of semi-intentional, knowing that there's probably going to be some multifamily buildings going up in the 1st ward. So.
I would like to note that for equity sense, just flag for us that the smallest ward means that those voters do get, in this case, very small, outside the voter influence.
Right. But this isn't like Wyoming and Montana.
Exactly. Yeah. These aren't huge differences.
Yeah.
I think, anything less than a couple of percent is de minimis.
Yeah.
All right. So are we?
Yes, we're good.
Are we there?
Second, I'll second.
So let's.
Mr. Newsma, Jonathan, may I ask a question? This is Seal Hanchar.
Yeah, go ahead, Seal.
This meeting has jogged my memory. I have not attended any of your others, but
they were all awesome.
Somebody mentioned a firehouse. Now, I know I'm in the 4th ward and Station 1 responds to my location. However, once you start moving more people into other areas, how does that affect the timing and the square mileage response that the fire department sets up for ambulance calls?
No impact whatsoever. Similar with school districts, they draw their own maps regardless of where the ward boundaries are. Public safety, both police patrol and fire response areas do not regard ward boundaries when they are drawing those response maps. So no change at all to public safety. Okay.
So if let's say the 4th ward had an increase of 500 people, it would still be the one station responding to this area with an additional 500 people?
No, whoever lives in, you would, regardless of where you live, you would continue to be served by the same fire station, and you would be on the same patrol map.
Right. It's based on proximity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no change, no impact at all. Redrawing the board maps.
My last thought is, because if they're on runs for another area that has increased, then I don't get Station 1, I get somebody else, whoever's available. But you're saying this doesn't affect any of that?
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, so let's close out public comment. And I think
it's been moved and seconded.
It's been moved and seconded that this committee let this committee recommend the map to City Council. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Did you say aye?
The ayes have it.
The ayes have it. So this map will be recommended to City Council. Now, since this is our last meeting, we are going to have to
approve the previous meetings.
Thank you for pointing that out.
I move approval.
Form now
of last month's meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of our April 25th meeting. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And now, Nick, I think we proactively approve the minutes for this meeting before adjourning. Sine die.
Yes, the committee will have approved the minutes based upon the recording, because it is audio recorded.
Okay.
So you can move approval of the minutes based upon the recording and adjourn the committee sine die. Because you have no intention of meeting again.
I heard the sine die, the very tail end of it. That's a term I've never heard before. And so can someone?
It's a Latin term, basically says it's allowing for the committee to adjourn without it. You're not coming back. You don't have another set meeting date.
It's frequently used in state legislatures as the last meeting.
Without a day.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know, when the Illinois state legislature like stops the clock and sometimes in order for them to finish the budget on whatever date. Yeah.
And in theory, it's the closure of a particular
session.
So for example, you guys are the 81st city council.
I can't remember. I don't know.
But the previous city council would have adjourned, and even there are people who are incumbents. There's a new council, so that previous council is never going to meet again.
Right.
Once the new council was sworn in. So it would have been appropriate. I want to say that Haggerty did adjourn sine die.
No.
Yeah.
I never have heard that term before. And I would
maybe he said sine die. South Latin. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
yeah, thank you for that.
So Chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of this meeting as Council Cummings has
so moved.
Indicated.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Mm-hmm.
And then the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn sine die.
I move we adjourn sine die.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Mm-hmm.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
That concludes the redistricting committee for the 2023 process. So thank you, everybody.
What will we do with our free time?
Because I need to get that.
Yes.
About my place.
What do you guys say? Who's the District 65 redistrict?